Hello guys, welcome to the channel, and today in this video we are going to see the FastAPI architecture. FastAPI is the Python based web framework. You write the backend and with the help of FastAPI. And if you are going to learn FastAPI as a backend framework, then this video might be your first video. It will give you a good start to learn the FastAPI because you must know the architecture of any framework that you are learning because it helps to understand the base, the foundation, and you also know the what actually behind the scenes everything is working when you write your code as well. Okay, so we will try to understand the fast API architecture in a easy way in this video. So you can see the block diagram I have drawn on the left hand side. The block diagram has some of the components I have written. Total four components I have written. First is your front end actually. Then second is UVCon. It is a UVCon server that is used in the fast API architecture. And third one is your actual fast API. Okay, and it internally uses Starlet as a another framework. And at last your database is there. Okay guys, so see what happens in fast API. This is your actual fast API code. Let's say you have written your routes, business logic, validation, authentication, all that. This is your actual Python fast API code, your backend code that you have written. Okay, so this is your front end or client, anything. So when front end sends the request, it will not go directly to this your fast API code. No, it will not go directly to the fast API code. Instead, there will be the intermediate server which is known as UVCon server. This is the UVCon server, and then front end request first comes to the UVCon server, and then it goes to the fast API code, your actual code. And this same architecture you will be seeing in the Express.js as well. Internally, Node.js is having the HTTP server. Then in Spring Boot also there is Tomcat server. So every backend framework has the your server that is present in the middle, and first client's request comes to the server, and then it further pass to the your actual code. Okay, so this is the UVCon server that is present in our fast API architecture. Now this UVCon server is also written in Python only mostly, and it is responsible for handling the network communication, and whatever request that is coming from client side, it is further passed to the your actual application code, that is your fast API code. Okay, and you might have seen this command uv run. We write uvcon and then something your main file, and we reload it, right? So when as soon as this command is executed, what happens that your uvcon basically opens the network socket. Okay, it creates the network sockets and it binds them to the specific port. Now this port is whatever you will be given, like 8000 or 8080 or anything port that you are giving. So UVCon server opens the network socket as soon as this command is executed, and then that it will socket will get bind to the your particular port. Okay, so that's how UVCon server does the functioning, and it's an important server because it's your first component in your request which is coming from the client, and it reads whatever network traffics that are coming and it listens for the connections. The UVCon also extracts some information when it comes from the client side, that is what is the request method that is coming, then the URL path, the headers, query parameters, request body. So all these things are read by the UVCon server that is coming from the front end, right? So that is important actually because you will be using query parameters, all the authentication headers, then the request method, get push. So all this important components that helps to actually, you know, run your backend code, right? So Ubicon server is most important thing over here, and it handles all the traffic. Okay guys, and it is also written in Python. And one more important thing, that Ubicon server is also known as ASGI web server. ASGI web server. Okay, I will explain you ASGI in some minutes only, and just now just remember that the ASGI web server is present, and I will actually explain in good way that what exactly is this ASGI web server. We will try to understand in few minutes. Okay, right now just remember that it's a ASGI web server. Okay, so this was all about the Ubicon server. I hope you got the idea that our fast API architecture consists of the web server, which is Ubicon server, and then your further request goes to the fast API. Next we will see Starlet. We will see Starlet. Okay, now see what exactly is Starlet. Starlet is a also known as ASGI web framework. Okay, I will explain you what exactly is there, but right now I thought that explaining Nuvicon and Starlet is more important to start the overall architecture. So see, what is the actual use of this Starlet? And I have written this Starlet in the bracket of this fast API on the left hand side block diagram. So this Starlet is actually your standalone web framework. It is not anything that is component of fast API. It is its separate framework that is written in Python. Okay, so whatever routing, so see, Starlet has the some of this function, that is routing, request handling, response handling, then middleware, then sockets, then some lifespan management of your whole application. So these are the some services, functions, or the features that Starlet provides. Okay, the routing, request response handling, middleware, socket. So all these things are actually coming from the Starlet. We think that this comes from the Fast API, but no. Under the hood, Fast API is built up upon the Starlet only. So we usually say that Starlet is the foundation. It's a foundation framework for the Fast API. Okay, if Starlet was not there, then the Fast API is nothing, because Starlet actually provides you the routing, request, middleware, all this stuff that are important for your backend, right? So this comes from the Starlet. Okay, it is a foundational framework, and most of the capabilities of your Fast API are coming from the Starlet only. Okay, that's it. Nothing else is there. And as I said, I will explain you Asia, and this is the web framework. So see, Uvicon, it's important to understand in terms of the wording. Basically, this is Uvicon, this is Starlet. Okay, so Uvicon is known as ASGI web server. It's a web server which is having all the requests of the clients. It is a web server, and the Starlet is ASGI web framework. There is a difference between the server and the web framework. Okay, because the framework is actually your handling of your backend core logic that Starlet helps us. Okay, and Starlet also is usually written in Python only. Some of the might be helper languages that might be in the different language. Okay, so this was a Ubicon and Starlet, and you can see there's two common word, Asia and Asia. Now it's the correct time to explain what exactly this Asia is. So see, Asia stands for asynchronous asynchronous server gateway interface. Okay, asynchronous server gateway interface, you might have heard of this. So what exactly is this ASGI? We will try to understand this. So ASGI is very simple. It is just a standard, nothing else. Okay. Some of them might think they are some server or framework, but no, it's just a standard. It is a specification, standard or specification. You might read these words on many of the documentation of fast API architecture, but it's just a standard. But what exactly meant by the standard? So see, you also might have heard the TCP/IP protocol, right? TCP/IP standard. So if there is device 1, let's say this is device 2, if this two device wants to communicate, they both follow some standard. They both allows or they both accepts on the both of the side that we will follow these rules during the communication. We will follow this standard basically, right? Like TCP/IP protocol. So nowadays every software OS you are saying, they allows or they follows the TCP/IP standard or protocol. That's why the communication is also possible. If there was no proper standard in the communication, and if one device is following some another standard and the another device is following some another standard, then the communication is not possible in that way, right? So that's why ASGI is a standard that both the parties are following, that we will communicate in this manner only. Okay, so this is all about the ASGI. Nothing much more is there. It's basically that Ubicon server and Starlet, they both will communicate based on some rules, based on some standard. Now what exactly this rules looks like? So see, there will be like a callable object. They both will communicate. Okay. So by mean Asia web server and web framework, they will behave like a callable object, and it will receive some important objects like, see, let's say there will be a function inside the web server and web framework. There will be scope, there will be receive, there will be send. This will be the three functions that will be actually there in your Asia based standard. Okay. So what exactly this means? So scope contains the information about your request that is coming to the either web server or to the Starlet. Okay, scope contains that information about the request. Then the receive function allows the application to send some incoming request. It allows the application to send the incoming request, sorry, to read the incoming request basically. So receive function actually helps to understand or to read the incoming request that is coming. So it reads the incoming request. So Starlet is reading, or the Uvicon web server is reading some incoming request from the client. Okay, so that is the receive function. They are the functions. Okay guys, so next send function allows to actually to send the response back to the client or back to the server. So send function allows to send your actual response back to the server or back to the client. So this server and web framework, works around the Asia. They have this scope, receives and send, three of the parameters, and receive and send are the important functions. Is receive is used for reading the incoming request, and send is used to send back the response to the client or the server. Okay, so this was all about the ASI. I hope you got some understanding about it. And they use this callable object for the communication basically. And yeah, that was all about the Asia. Now this Uvicon and Starlet, are the important one. They communicate with the help of this ASCII only. Next, we will talk about the fast API, your actual backend framework. Okay, so you can also now saw, or you can also got some idea that there are actually many components that are working behind the scene. We think that fast API is standalone or fast API has more power, but no, there are many components framework that are working to make more powerful, as a fast API framework. So let's see what is fast API finally. So fast API is actually working, as I said, with the help of Starlet, because it is made up as a Starlet is the foundation of fast API. It is made up on the top of it, right? So we initialize like this in our actual code, fast API, right? So your fast API, when you create this, it's actually creating the object, right? The central object that is representing your entire application, your entire fast API application. And internally this object stores the configuration, and it maintains the structures that are required for processing all the requests that are coming. Okay, this is the object that is very important. And FastAPI also stores something called routing table. This is very important. It has the routing table which has all the endpoints of your entire application. It contains all the endpoints, which further helps to understand where to route to the exact endpoint, and which business logic should be invoked based on the endpoint given by the client. Okay, so routing table is used for this purpose, and we actually write business logic. Then there is a swagger documentation. Then we create validation with the help of Pydantic. So this all features come from the fast API, but the major things like routing middleware, that is coming from the Starlet. And this together whole components is your fast API architecture. Okay, and last, you are communicating with the database. We use ORM tools like SQL Alchemy. So basically you are writing your tables in the form of classes, and this SQL Alchemy helps to convert those classes into the tables in your database. So that is exactly the ORM, object relational mapper. For that, SQL Alchemy is used. And also for the migration, if I'm not wrong, there is Alembic. This is the use as a package to migrate actually your tables to the actual databases. Okay, so this was all about the fast API architecture. Okay guys, I hope you like the video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Bye bye.